In the back of the book segment tonight, Senator Rand Paul scorching Donald Trump. As you heard earlier in the program, Senator Rand Paul now stirring things up by calling Trump a, quote, fake conservative. Senator Paul joins us now from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Welcome, Senator. So I read the piece this morning. Very interesting. Can you please define fake conservative?
Well, you know, I got started in the Tea Party movement. There was this big rebellion in 2010, and it wasn't so much rebellion against Democrats. It was actually rebellion against fake conservatives. It was a rebellion against Republicans who grew the size of government, Republicans who doubled the debt, and also Republicans who voted for this bank bailout to bail out Wall Street and all this taxpayer money that was spent on the big banks. Conservatives were all opposed to that, and yet Donald Trump was for that. He was for Obamacare before he was against it. He's been for gun control before he's against it. He says the Clintons are great with the economy and Democrats are better with the economy. So I just think we ought to be very careful and ought to know who we're actually thinking about before people consider voting for him, because I really think he's a fake conservative. I don't think he's consistently been anything in his life other than a promoter of himself. So people have to really listen to him and decide what he really stands for.
Senator, one of the lines that jumped out of your piece was, quote, you're quoting you, we don't need another bully. We don't need a bully. We don't need another president who thinks he's king. What do you mean?
Well, I think all the bravado and all the, you know, you're stupid kind of language, it doesn't really get us anywhere, but it also makes you think that that imperiousness, that he's just going to say, well, I'm Donald Trump and therefore it is so. And our government is built on sort of checks and balances, that we have co-equal branches. And one of my concerns, and one of the concerns of the Tea Party, frankly, has been that the executive branch has grown too strong. And I say, as I go around the country, we actually need to give power back to the legislature and back to the people respectively. And my concern is that he would grab up that power and really treat the country as sort of his little bully fiefdom. And I think that could be a real problem, particularly when we're not sure what his, what is his philosophy. He said to the Wall Street Journal, he said, I give politicians money so they'll do what the hell I tell them to do. That kind of concerns me, because that's what I don't like about Washington, that politicians are bought and sold. You know, Hillary Clinton, many of us conservatives are upset with Hillary Clinton because she sells access or appears to sell access. Well, my concern is also a businessman like Donald Trump buying access. Isn't that equally despicable?
Well, Senator, are you concerned that now that you've called Donald Trump out on this, a fake conservative, he's going to aim the guns at you? I mean, he's not afraid to take shots at anyone. And are you going to be the next target of Donald Trump?
It could be, but I think eventually it's going to wear thin. All this sort of false bravado and all this bluster. I mean, aren't people eventually going to say, does the emperor have any clothes, or does the emperor have a brain, frankly? I mean, people are going to finally say, what is he really saying when he says, well, I must be smart because I'm rich? Is that really a logical statement to make? Are we really going to accept that? So I think we're eventually going to look for something more significant, something more substantive. You know, let's talk about, we want government bigger or smaller. I want a smaller government. Donald Trump wants to raise taxes. Is that a conservative notion? Let's have a real debate over whether we want government bigger or smaller. But just calling people stupid or calling them fat or saying they're bleeding, I mean, are just such ridiculous statements that they really shouldn't even be countenanced.
And for some reason he's done things that would normally derail a presidential run. You think of Rick Perry a couple of years ago, one debate slip up and he was done. Howard Dean, one word out of his mouth and he's done. Yet Donald Trump seems to be bucking that trend. Quick thought.
I think it's because people are unhappy, but they need to realize that being unhappy is not enough. A lot of us are unhappy. I've been fighting the Washington machine for the past several years, trying to say enough's enough. They're spending too much money. We have to quit this. But it can't just be empty bombast. And I'm afraid that's what we're getting, is empty bombast. You're ugly, you're fat, you're stupid. You know, that's not really a debate. Let's have a debate. Do we want government bigger or smaller? Do we want higher taxes or lower taxes? Do we want more regulation or less regulation? And then ask, has this person been for this consistently, or are they brand new to this and thinking that some sort of reality star shtick is going to get them elected president? I'm one who certainly hopes not.
All right, Senator, don't go anywhere. We have lots more to talk about. Right back with the senator after this quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Bring us your aching and sleep deprived. Bring us those who want to feel well rested. Aleve PM, the only one to combine a safe sleep aid plus the 12-hour pain-relieving strength of Aleve. Be a morning person again with Aleve PM.
Pets are family, and we know it. So trust 1-800-PET-MEDS for the exact same medications the vet sells, but for a lot less. Call or order online today at 1-800-PETMEDS.com.
What did you take?
You took my hair.
You took my husband, my grandmother.
My dad.
You tried to take me.
You try to take everyone, but I won't let you.
We will stop you with therapies,
With immune cells, genetic testing,
clinical trials,
and cutting-edge research.
We will stop you.
by treating every single patient.
Just like family.
And cancer,
You're going to lose.
and we are going to win.
Why are all these people so asleep? Yet I'm so awake.
Did you know your brain has two systems? One helps keep you awake. The other helps you sleep. Science suggests when you have insomnia, the wake system in your brain may be too strong and your neurotransmitters remain too active as you try to sleep, which could be leading to your insomnia.
Oh, maybe that's what's preventing me from getting the sleep I need.
Talk to your doctor about ways to manage your insomnia.
This is a call to the committed. To those who wake up with a desire to do more. To those who won't stop until they reach the finish line. Calling all champions. Advocare. We build champions.
Continuing now with Senator Rand Paul, everyone has been focusing on Donald Trump, but I want to get your thoughts on Hillary Clinton as a potential rival in the 2016 election, Senator. Specifically, there was a report out today, I believe by NBC, saying that the Chinese government said that they were targeting high-level diplomats, including Hillary Clinton's emails. Your thoughts?
Well, I think this goes to her wisdom, as Secretary of State, but also as potential commander-in-chief. If she's not wise enough to use a government server for security purposes, what kind of decision-making would she make as president? It also reminds me of the decision-making or lack of decision-making with regard to Benghazi. She had repeated requests for security, all of them denied. So really, I think this goes about judgment, and it shows, I think, terrible judgment. Now it's being investigated by the FBI. It's being investigated by the Department of Justice. And she put a lot of people at risk. She put herself at risk by maybe having her schedule out there on an unsecured email server, but also put their lives at risk of the people who are commissioned to protect her. So I think this really goes to the heart of matter, whether or not she'll be a good commander-in-chief, whether or not we want to give her that responsibility. It also goes to a certain, I think, bit of lawlessness in the sense that she knew the law. She chastised one of her ambassadors for not using the proper email server, and then she went to do it, and now she says, oh, trust me. You can trust me to turn over the emails, even though you couldn't trust me to obey the law in the first place.
Yeah, speaking of trust, Donald Trump mentioned that he had purchased his words, he bought access. He donated to the Clinton Foundation, and then she showed up at his wedding. I guess it was his wedding that she showed up. Commander-in-Chief selling access. Thoughts?
Yeah, and I think this is really disturbing to a lot of us about Hillary Clinton. Not only did she sell access, but she was in charge of improving very important things to our national security, like whether a uranium company could be sold to the Russians. She approved this while her husband was giving speeches to the bank that was brokering the deal. Boy, I mean, not only is this a conflict of interest, I mean, this should be investigated as really whether or not she broke laws and whether or not Bill Clinton broke laws in accepting money. We're talking about millions of dollars. He got, I think, $750,000 from the bank that was brokering the deal to sell a uranium company to the Russians. And so really, I think this needs to be discussed, it needs to be debated, and it really needs to go whether or not she really should be qualified or whether it ought to preclude her from holding office.
All right, final question here, Senator. Last Thursday night, you went mano a mano. You went hand-to-hand combat with Chris Christie. Who won?
I think the Bill of Rights wins normally, and I try to be a great defender of the Bill of Rights. I don't want President Obama collecting all of our records. And, you know, Governor Christie agrees with the president. He would like to collect all Americans' records without individualizing suspicion. That goes against the Fourth Amendment. And I'm happy, win or lose, to defend the Fourth Amendment, defend the Bill of Rights, and defend the right to privacy. Justice Brandeis says the most cherished of rights among civilized men is the right to be left alone. And I'm glad I stood up and defended it, and we'll do it again.
So that I'll interpret it as Rand Paul and the Bill of Rights over Chris Christie.
That's the side I'm on. People have to decide, but we think we came out in a good place on the exchange.
Very good. Senator, thank you so much for joining The Factor tonight. And before we go tonight,